Hello, welcome to the First City Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Whited, owner of First City Records, located at 166 Front Street in Marietta. Welcome to a very special episode 7, in fact. I got to sit down and talk to a legendary rock musician, 50 plus years in the business, Mr. Mick, guitarist for the band Uriah Heep. It was 5 in the morning when that interview went on because he was in Austria on tour with Judas Priest, Uriah Heep, and Saxon. So we talk a lot about his current touring life, a little bit about the past, and I did take some fan questions and ask him as well. Got a big show. I know you're all here for that, but we do have some house cleaning stuff that we'll talk through. So we got some events, local events coming up I want to bring up to your guys' attention. This coming Friday is First Friday in downtown Marietta. Most of you guys already know First Friday. First Friday is basically a time where most locals gather downtown and there's sales and people have musicians and there's a buzz. And this is the first real spring First Friday that all have been a part of as First City Records. The theme this month is Marietta's birthday party. We have a big time planned in store. One of my good friends, an amazing outlaw country musician I'm bringing in from Beckley, West Virginia, Mr. Sean Benfield, who's one of the best outlaw country artists that's not signed to a label. It's absolutely criminal. And I will, as always, leave links to his music so you guys can check him out in advance of showtime on Friday. He'll be in the house. We'll probably be recording a podcast, maybe some live acoustic stuff, but he'll be in the studio from 6 p.m. or in the store rather from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. doing his thing on the First City stage as you all are in there shopping and enjoying the First Friday festivities in downtown Marietta. All right, coming up on Monday, April the 8th, it is Rex Manning Day at First City Records. If you're familiar with Rex Manning Day, it is from the 90s. Cult classic movie about a record store called Empire Records, and it is one of the reasons why I wanted to open a music store when I was just a teenager. So we're going to be celebrating Rex Manning Day every year in style at First City Records. This year, I'm going to be giving away a copy of the soundtrack to folks who come into the store for the event all day long. If you show up in the store wearing your 90s outfit, you'll get 10% off of your order at 6 p.m. We're going to have an air guitar contest. If you're interested in signing up for the air guitar contest, please email me at firstcityrecords@gmail.com. You can call the store, 740-434-5001, or send me a PM to the store page, the podcast page. However, just get a hold of me if you want to be part of that. It'll go from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., and the winner will get some free entries into getting that album that we're giving away that is valued at over $100 nowadays. So be there for that. At 7 p.m., we will be watching the movie. Bring your favorite comfy chair. There'll be no charge whatsoever. We're just going to come, hang out, and watch Empire Records on I'll bring the big screen and the projector and sound system, and we'll watch Empire Records in style to celebrate Rex Manning. And coming up right after that is the Cash Mob, April 16th. It is a Tuesday. Marietta Main Street puts on these events once a month, and you guys meet downtown and go visit a business, spend upwards of $10 or more. Usually there's a discount or something, some kind of a giveaway. You won't know what store you're going to go to until you guys get to the meeting spot. So go to Marietta Main Street's events pages, Tuesday, April the 16th. After that, we have the Taylor Swift Tortured Poets Party at First City Records. That's coming up on April the 19th. It is going to be an amazing time. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, that is the day that her album drops. So you'll be able to buy a copy, CD or vinyl of the new album. As well as we're going to have karaoke, bead bracelet making, and I'm going to be giving away an autographed Taylor Swift record at that event, or for your chance to win. Show up to the party to learn how you can win it that night. No RSVP, no cost to get in. Just come and have fun with other Taylor Swift fans in town. And the very next day is Record Store Day. I'm going to be a tired boy, that's for sure. 4/20 is Record Store Day. We have all the amazing titles for Record Store Day that's going to be in the store. Next week, we're going to really dive into how I'm going to handle Record Store Day at First City Records. So if you're interested and you plan on participating on Record Store Day, next week's episode, I'm going to kind of fill in the gaps and let everybody know how I run Record Store Day, so everybody is on the same page. So that way there's no questions, there's no chaos. You guys can come, enjoy the day with like-minded people, have a great time, and everybody gets what they're after with no hurt feelings, no hurt faces. As we've seen in the past, we don't need any fist fights at First City Records on Record Store Day. It's all about love. It's all about the records. So tune in next week for that. Friday, April the 12th, Hidden Marietta is at the Anchorage, is showing Little Shop of Horrors at 8 p.m. Tickets are $15, and there's only 15 seats available. I think they're wanting you to bring your own chair. I'll likely be there at that, and maybe if I can get my 16-year-old to come with me. I love this the Anchorage. I took my 6-year-old son on a tour of it this past weekend and showed him around. So I've already been there twice now since the interview last week, and I'd love to go and watch one of my favorite movies with friendly folks at the Anchorage. That'll take place Friday, April the 12th, 8 p.m., $15 seats, 15 seats available. And I believe they've sold a few, so you might want to get a hold of them and reserve your spot for that. Coming up this Monday, this is something that hasn't happened in many, many, many years. There's a total solar eclipse happening on Monday. And evidently another one won't happen until like 2044, in like another 25 years or 20 years from now. Supposed to hit our area around 3 p.m. I don't know. I may take my kids out of school so they could see it. I don't know. It depends on what the day brings. But make sure that you do stop somewhere and get some special eclipse glasses. Don't try to stare at it without the glasses for your own safety's sake. If you want to check out more information on the eclipse, eclipse2024.com. That's where I got the information that I got for this blurb, because like many of you, I didn't know much about what a total eclipse is because they don't happen very often. So anyways, we're going to move on from the events happening around town. Real quick, I just want to kind of get sappy here and just kind of talk about how far this show has come in just a matter of 6 weeks. 8 weeks ago, this thing was kind of just like a dream, and equipment started trickling in from the Amazon trucks. I was kind of learning how to use this thing and kind of figuring out what I wanted to talk about on these things. And then here on episode 7, I'm sitting down and conversing with world-renowned rock stars who are on tour with other world-renowned rock stars. And I do have a special announcement. I got contacted literally about 2 hours ago by the band Kansas. Their management team is going to be setting up an interview for me to interview Kansas. So I thought I'm going to always be MOV centric, and luckily these bands are playing at the People's Bank Theater, so it is in sense MOV centric. We are the MOV's most MOV podcast. However, it is awesome that I get to sit down and even though they're through Zoom, talk to these legends of the rock arena. So I'll get to sit down. Hopefully it'll be next week's episode. We haven't pinpointed an exact date or time for that one yet. But one last thing I wanted to mention, we often get asked at the store what things that we buy, what am I looking for, what kind of things do we take in? Because we are, in sense, a reseller. We do offer plenty of new products as far as apparel and obviously records and things like that. But we do take a lot of trade-ins, and that's our bread and butter. The markups on new items is not enough for any small business to really thrive on. I don't think a record store could survive in a small market on just new release records. If a record costs $30 for you, I paid $24 to $25 to get it. And that's no joke. So used collections is where I make the money to survive on. So every now and then we'll kind of talk about the things that the store is currently buying. Some of the things that we're always buying record collections, CDs, and video games, consoles. I prefer retro games, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, NES. We do take disc-based games as well. Music and pop culture memorabilia. If you have music related Funkos, some Super 7, things like that, posters, let's see, guitar pick that you caught at a Judas Priest concert 1977, stuff like that. I loved stuff like that. We have glass cases just filled with that kind of thing, and I'm always looking for more. Um, and we also take in horror movies. We don't really buy anything else. We do some VHS because, I'm a collector of VHS, and there's a handful of us still out there, call them tape heads, whatever. But we're always buying horror movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, especially the obscure stuff, and in really good condition. Obviously, the cases, the box art, things like that. Same goes for CDs. We have to have the complete set. We do offer disc resurfacing for customers, and we have a very classy disc resurfacer. So if things aren't in amazing condition, we can probably bring them back to life for you. Typically charge $3 a disc for that. So that's pretty much what we're buying right now. In honor of today's massive guest, legendary rock guitarist Mick Box from one of my favorite hard rock bands, Uriah Heep. I would say top 10 for sure. I'm gonna give out a top 5 list today of our classic hard rock bands and artists. And I want to know what yours are. I'll give you mine, and then email me your lists to firstcitypodcaster@gmail.com. That's First City Podcaster, PODCASTER, at Gmail. And make sure to leave your phone number. I'll pick one list at random, and we'll call you, and we'll talk about it on the next week's show. My top 5 would be, how about some Steppenwolf? Anytime I think of motorcycles and motorcycles in summertime, I think of Steppenwolf. 4, you got to have AC/DC. 3 and 2 are going to be hard. I'm going to say it's almost a tie, but I'm going to put Kiss at number 3. 2 has to be Alice Cooper. And number 1, it's a tie between Ozzy and Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath and Paranoid, some of the most iconic albums of my life. So yeah, my top 5: Steppenwolf, AC/DC, Kiss, Alice Cooper, and Black Sabbath. What are yours? Make sure to email your list at firstcitypodcaster@gmail. Leave your phone number with it, and we'll call you, and we'll talk about it on next week's episode. And with that, we're going to jump right into my interview with Mick Box of the band Uriah Heep, who will be part of the tour showing up to Marietta at the People's Bank Theater on May the 16th at 8 p.m. with Saxon. And take it away, Mick Box.
You recording okay? We got that now.
Yes. Okay, so it is 5 a.m. here in the States, and where are you at in the world today?
We're actually in Vienna, in Austria.
You're on tour currently with Judas Priest, of all people. That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, Judas Priest, Saxon, Heep, yeah.
All right, so we're sitting down today with Mick Box, legendary guitarist from the band Uriah Heep.
We're in Vienna, in Austria, and we worked our way through England, right through Europe, from Poland and Czech Republic, and now we're in Vienna, and then we go on to Basel in Switzerland, and then from them we fly to Florida, and we do a rock cruise for a week. Then we come back to England for 8 days. Then we start the 5-week tour of America that we're talking about.
Oh my goodness! Thank you again for joining me. This is a big thrill for me. I personally discovered Uriah Heep on the very first time I went out digging records when I was 16, and I'm 40. I found a copy of Demons and Wizards and Return to Fantasy, and I became a huge fan ever since then. So this is really, really cool for me. When you were young, do you remember the first albums that you found or bought when you were a young person?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I when I started playing the guitar, I had a few lessons from a teacher that lived in the East End of London, where I was living at the time, called Walthamstow, and he was a guy called Alan Hodgkinson, and he was the second guitarist to Django Reinhardt. So most of my early learning was very jazz orientated, Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow, people like that, and Les Paul, Mary Ford, of course. So my first actual record I bought was an EP, funny enough, Les Paul and Mary Ford, and the actual song was called Nola. And I can remember vividly trying to learn it by dropping the needle on the record. Um, and it was very fast, and I didn't quite have the technique, but I gradually gradually got there. And then eventually I found out that Les Paul actually played it at half speed, and the sound I'm listening to is double speed. So he duped me there, but nevertheless, it gave me some technique.
So you guys are currently on tour in Europe with Judas Priest. Tell our listeners a little about your current tour and how touring has changed over the years for you.
Well, it's changed drastically. I mean, and as is the industry, you know. But you know, the bottom line is people still love to hear, you know, live music, which is fantastic. And the bands we're talking about now, including ourselves, have been lucky enough to have a lot of songs that have stood the test of time over the years that people
Yeah.
still like to hear live in the live arena, if you like, and in their home. So it's lasted. You know, the music has lasted since 1970 to now, and that's just wonderful. You know, it's an amazing feeling.
Do you have a favorite show or concert experience since you're being part of Uriah Heep?
Very difficult to answer that because Uriah Heep,
Yeah.
we really do hit the world stage. We play concerts in 64 countries, so
Wow.
you know, we if I choose this one, I'll miss that one. If I choose that one, I'll miss that one.
I
But
kind of
if
figured with a
if I
50,
had, if
50
I had to
plus
choose,
years on the,
if I had to choose audience wise, I think actually in South America, it's almost a religion to them music, and that reflects in their reaction. You know, they go crazy. So
Mhm.
yeah, probably South America is one of the places where music is very, very important part of their life.
Okay, so a local musician, his name's Jim Gustafson. He is in a band called Poobah, and he actually played a gig with you guys back in the 70s with another band called Damnation, and he was part of a band called Biggie Rat, and it was at the Ohio Theater in Columbus. He sent me the flyer for that gig, and it was a whopping $3.50 ticket price. And that was probably a high premium, back then, or at least a standard industry
Well, back
standard.
then it was pretty standard, yeah. But you know, when you listen to that now, it seems unbelievable, doesn't it?
Yes. One of our listeners, Michael, wants to know some of your original musical influences and who are you listening to today?
Original influences. Well, I kind of, as I say, I came through the jazz era into people like Buddy Holly and Eddie Cochran, and then of course the Beatles, the Stones, and it kind of grew from there, you know. In the 60s, it was certainly the late part of the 60s, it was all very nice melodic 3 minute songs with people wearing suits and doing little dance
Yeah.
moves, you know, and playing little combos, little amp combos and that. And because come the 70s with bands like Uriah Heep, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, we shook the whole industry up. You know, we were a bit rebellious, and we had you know, Marshall stacks with with their own skyline,
Mhm.
if you like. You know, they were huge, and everything was bigger, better, and louder. But the good thing about that was that a lot of great music came out of it. And I think
Mhm.
that's down to the fact that in the old days, you know, a record company signs you for a 6, 7 album deal. So you grew with the label grew with you, and you were allowed to develop your music. You know, you didn't have to stay in that 3 minute format that in the late 60s you had to. So there was a real good musical growth there. And I think that's why you know, the music has endured and is still with us today.
A lot of our listeners said that they commented in that they saw Uriah Heep in Huntington, West Virginia, and in Charleston back in 1977 and 74. Have you guys ever came through Marietta before on a tour stop or just an overnight stay on your way through to maybe Columbus or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you know, after 54 years of touring. I think we've hit everywhere, and maybe twice and three times. But
Hmm.
occasionally I have to admit it gets a bit of a blur because we were doing like 9 months touring in America, and then
Hmm.
3 months in the studio. And it was a continuous roundabout that we couldn't get off, to be honest. And back then, when you mentioned Demons and Wizards, for that particular year, apart from all the touring we were doing, we recorded two albums in that one year, which was Demons and Wizards and Magician's Birthday, and we toured constantly right through America. So, our feet never touched the ground.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine not being able to be home for like 90%. It takes a special person to want to be a touring musician, and you've done it for 50 years. Do you ever take a break?
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, unfortunately, we're all given the COVID virus, so
Ah.
that kind of put
Mm.
the brakes on things, doesn't it? But yeah, up
Mhm.
to that point, we've always toured. We've always done, 200 shows a year. It's part of our DNA, and playing live is everything to us. So we just love getting out there doing it.
All right, the Hellfire and Chaos tour rolls into Marietta at the People's Bank Theater on May the 16th with the band Saxon. What can the crowd expect on this tour?
Well, when you put it together, there's probably on the stage that night there'll be over 100 years of of British rock on that stage, being played that night. Um, I think with both bands we have a number of songs that each band has to play. Talking about ourselves, we've got to play Easy Living and July Morning and Gypsy and all those sort of songs. And Saxon have their own songs that they must play because that's what the fans want to hear. But also, we'll interject that with a few of the new songs for the new albums. They've got a new album out. We've got a new album out, Chaos and Color, and we'll put about four songs in, perhaps in each of us will put four songs in each set, and the rest of it will be all the hits.
Yeah, we were talking earlier that Chaos and Color, the new album came out in 2023. Bernie Shaw still sounds absolutely fantastic. His vocals are amazing on this new album, and the
I
guitar work
actually
on
think,
it is so crunchy and so good.
yeah, I think this is his best work ever. Um, from all the albums that he's been on, I think Chaos and Color, he really does shine, and I think you're correct there. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you guys have toured the world over since 1970. And you got the new studio album. Is recording in the studio in 2024 as exciting as it was back in the day? And how has recording changed over the years for you?
Well, we try and keep it as it was, if you like. We're not a band that will send files to each other, and we need to
Mhm.
be in a room together, and we play. We just knock the songs out. Once we've got the arrangement, it's just a matter of going in and getting the right feel, the right sounds, and and that take that connects with everyone. But definitely it's a band that plays in the studio at the same time. We just
Mhm.
cordon off a few of the noisy bits, the drums or whatever, and we just go for it. If it bleeds over, that's fine by us because it's real then. And we also try not to use click tracks because it's just it takes
Mhm.
away some of the feel. If the band's on a pulse that moves a little bit, then it goes together. That's excitement. They're the things that put the hairs on your arm, coming
Yeah.
up, chills down your spine. And and I feel that a lot of producers, unfortunately, in my way of thinking is that in search of perfection, they lose all the magic that was there in the first place. Because you get a great take and then they try and put everything on the bass drum, everything on the
Mhm.
one, and you're taking away all the magic that's there. And the great thing about Jay Rushton, our producer, is the fact he says that's the take we're using and that's how it stays. If it sounds that good now, it's going to sound that good later on. It's going to sound like
Yeah.
that good forever. So our mindset is to just be real, do it. Good thing about it is, we recorded that whole album in, I think, about 17 days.
Okay.
When you go in and do a backing track, you virtually get most of it right there and then. You know, you haven't got to go in and, you
Mhm.
know, individually do all the parts, you know, you've actually got it, you know, so it moves a lot quicker and it's more spontaneous and I think it connects through the grooves in my humble opinion.
Okay. The next question I have for you actually came from the person who taught me everything that I know about rock music. And he taught me how to play guitar on my lunch breaks at school. He was a teacher of mine, and he taught me Black Sabbath songs and other classic rock songs during my lunch breaks. He wants to know which guitar rig you played through to get the tone for the guitars on the song Stealin' off the 73 album Sweet Freedom. Specifically, there was a Dallas Range Master and into a dimed Marshall. That's a very
Right.
in-depth question.
In those days, I was using a 1959 SLP Marshall head, 100 watt, and a 4x12 cabinet. The straight one, I don't like the slant ones. They give up too much toppy edgy for me. I like to have that on the floor, the straight cabinet on the floor, and feel it come through the floor. And then I was just plugged into a wah-wah. Simple as that.
All right,
No
Bob, there you
effects
go.
at all. I just, you know, let the and the guitar, of course, was a Black Beauty Les Paul Gibson, which was the guitar that I played most in nearly every album, really. But now all my good guitars are left at home because you know the airlines were trashing them every time we went out on tour, and because the older they get, the more fragile they are. Certainly when they're being thrown 30 feet in the air by someone from the airline.
Mhm.
Um, so now I have a company in Toronto, in Canada, called Carparelli, and they make me a Mick Box signature guitar, which is an S4 Carparelli, but basically a Black Beauty, really. And they're stunning. You know, they're fantastic guitars. I've been playing them for years now, and they really are top of the range. So any guitarists out there, get on the website and look at Carl Body Guitars because the guy knows what he's doing. The main guy is a guy called Mike Carparelli. It's his company, but he's got a passion and love for doing it as much as we got a passion and love for making music. Put those together, and you're on a winner.
One of my favorite things about Uriah Heep is the album artwork. Um, I'm sure you get this question all the time. The album artwork is some of the most iconic and easily recognizable out of all the vinyl in my collection. Personal favorites are, of course, Demons and Wizards. Abominadog. I the demon on the front. Every time customers flip that one, it's an instantaneous. They got to pull it out to see what is this thing. And then I wrote down my other favorite one was Magician's Birthday. Got to go with that one. Can you expand a little bit on the did you use the same artist for some of these, and do you have any
Absolutely.
personal favorites?
We used Roger Dean
Roger.
on he was always a magician's birthday, and he was an up and coming artist at the time, and I think he was taken on by Yes and many other artists, and he just came to the studio, listened to the music, and produced this wonderful piece of art for Demons and Wizards. And I felt really at the time that it was the first time that the cover art and the audio were intrinsically linked. You know, it became a package then. You know, rather than just an
Mm-hmm.
album in a cover. And so those two albums were with Roger Dean, and the Abominable one. I can't remember the guy who did that, but I know that. We were at a point in our career where we're just sort of a rebirth of a new band, if you like, with new personnel, and we just wanted to steer completely away from what gone before, and I think Abominable did that perfectly.
Yeah.
I think actually, if I'm right, I'm not sure you should quote me on this, but that particular year, I think it got voted as the second worst album cover of the year, but I think number one was Aussie. So we're in good company.
Thank you so much for your time. I got one last question for you. Uriah Heep has rocked nonstop for 50 years, minus COVID, of course. What does the future hold for you personally and for the band?
It's quite simple. I mean, touring book is full for the rest of the year. We're looking at even next year already. They're putting shows in, dates in, tours in. So I think the bottom line is, if you got your health, then you can carry on and do what you love, and that's what we've always had, a passion for it. That's been our driving force. And being a Uriah Heep's a great place to be, because we do get out in the world, we see the world, and we play many, many, many concerts. So I guess the next thing will be, we'll look at another album and we'll keep touring. I don't think the word retiring will ever enter our heads, because I think when you put those kind of brick walls in front of you, they tend to drag you under. So we're always looking for more. We're always writing more. We're always playing many concerts, and we'll keep doing that as long as we have our health. You got your health.
That's what I wanted to hear. Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. No retiring in
We're not
sight. I
putting the
love that.
break. I mean, in fact, I think we're busier than we've ever been.
Yeah.
In the position we are right now, because it's non-stop, and we love
All
it.
right. Well, thank you.
It's what we
Thank
live
you,
for.
thank you so much for taking some time out while you're on tour over. You said you're in Austria today. It's been a pleasure sitting down with you. Make sure you guys check out the new album Chaos and Caller. It came out in 2023. It is an absolute banger. And I personally want to invite you guys to my store, First City Records. We're 1 block away from the theater if you have time between sound check and showtime. And otherwise, I will see you guys at the concert at the People's Bank Theater. The date on that one is May the 16th with the band Saxon. Mick Box, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for spending some time
I
with
look
me.
forward to it, my friend, and thank you very much for your time. Happy days,
Yes,
everyone.
have a wonderful day. Yes,
We'll
have a
see
great
you out there.
show.
Bye for now,
Yes,
mate.
goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that interview as much as I did. Obviously, as you could tell, I was very nervous, and that was also 5 in the morning when I had to give that interview. And let's just say I'm going to work on my interviewing skills without fanboying, as it were. So hopefully the Kansas interview will be maybe a little bit smoother. And make sure to check us out on YouTube at First City Podcast on YouTube if you want to watch the really grainy video footage that happened due to Mick's horrible cell phone signal in Austria. Like I said, he's on tour right now, and he will be hitting the Mid-Ohio Valley on May the 16th with Uriah Heep and Saxon at 8 p.m. Tickets available at peoplesbanktheater.com. I want to thank my partners in crime, People's Bank Theater, for helping set up that interview. And we will be back next week, hopefully with an interview with Kansas, if not the following week. And we're going to talk about their show coming up at the People's Bank Theater and their 50 years Fork in the Road anniversary tour. They will be hitting the People's Bank Theater on April the 19th. Tickets also available for that one. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and we will see you all on the next one. Y'all have a great week.